All right, people. So I'm back for the uh, Premier League table final prediction. A lot of you might disagree with. Some, look pretty easy to be fair. Um, so let's start from the bottom three. So bottom of the league, I'm going to say Norwich City. I hate to say it, I like Norwich a lot. I think, I wish that they could stay in the Premier League, but I just can't see it happening. I think, they're way behind in the Premier League. They're struggling to win games. They've only got 3 wins already this season. Against Newcastle, against Manchester City. Haven't won at home since September in that game against Man City. And they won against Everton in November. But I can't see Norwich staying up. I can't see them picking up enough points. It'll be a miracle, Daniel Farke said. I think the Canaries heading back down to the Championship. And following them back down to the Championship, I'm going to go with Aston Villa. I think, big crisis at the moment at Villa. They're not really scoring goals. They're struggling at the back. I know they got that big win over Norwich, but I don't think that'll be enough. In terms of the form, form's slipped right back down. Heaton's injured, Wesley's injured. They're going to have to do a lot of business to convince me to stay up in the Premier League, and I think Villa will find it difficult as well. So I'm going to go for Aston Villa to go back down to the Championship as well. And third and final, I think the last team is going to be Bournemouth. Big surprise, but they're having a lot of injuries at the moment. Got a lot of good quality players, don't get me wrong, they've got some good players, but it's just not happening at Bournemouth at the moment. I could see them sticking with Eddie Howe. I don't know, sometimes when they say, if a manager's been at a club too long, they might be sick of hearing the same voice, they might want to hear a different manager, different ideas. Maybe if that change came afoot, but I don't think Bournemouth would sack him. And I think, Bournemouth are heading down to the Championship. I don't think it's their season this year. I think they really are in trouble and they really are struggling for form and consistency. So I'm going to go for Bournemouth to go down, unfortunately. In 17th place, I'm going to go for Burnley. I think it'll be Bournemouth-Burnley for that final relegation spot. And I think the Clarets will just edge it. I think, Burnley, they're a good team. I think, it might seem a bit harsh. This is very hard to do, actually. But yeah, I think Burnley will be in a relegation fight, and I think they'll just about edge it. And I think they'll finish 17th place. 16th place, I'm going to go for Watford. I think Nigel Pearson has turned the Hornets' fortunes around. Before, I thought Watford were going to go down before he came to the club, but he's done really, really well. He's beaten Man United, he's beaten Wolves. They've got some really impressive results, and I think Watford will stay up. And I think they're getting the best out of the players at the moment. 15th place, West Ham. David Moyes has really turned fortunes around, in a way. He's only had 2 games, a 4-0 win against Bournemouth and a 2-0 win away at Gillingham in the FA Cup. And I think, his team on a real roll. I think they will struggle at some points throughout the season, but they will have enough to stay in the Premier League. So West Ham, 15th place. 14th place, I'm going to go for Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, Graham Potter's played some really, really exciting stuff. And his team are really, really difficult to play against. But yeah, I think they'll have a mid-table finish. I don't think they're going to get top 10 or Europa League. I just think, they'll finish mid-table and they will be in the Premier League again next season. In 13th place, I'm going to go for Southampton. I think they've had a real turnaround. If you asked me back in November or October, I think, especially after the 9-0 loss to Leicester, I think I would have said Southampton would go down. As well as Watford, because they were struggling as well. So I think they will finish 13th place. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl's getting the best out of the players like Danny Ings, who's absolutely on fire. Whether he will leave in the summer, I do not know. But yeah, I think Southampton will stay up. I think they're on a positive roll. I think they're getting some form at St Mary's going again. They look like the good Southampton, that difficult Southampton that we saw last season, that kept them up. So I think they'll finish 13th. In 12th place, I'm going to go for Newcastle United. Steve Bruce has really proved a lot of people wrong, including myself. I said at the start of the season, I actually said Newcastle finished bottom, but no. I think Newcastle will finish 12th. I think they've got a lot of injuries, but I think they will have enough to stay in the league, and I think they'll finish quite highly. I've got some quality players. I think they're getting the best out of Almiron now, who's actually managed to score goals. Joe Linton, he's not a Premier League striker. I mean, I think he's a waste of money. He scored one goal, that was against Spurs back in August. But I think, St. Maximin's yet to come back. I think, defensively, they're scoring good goals. I think the Longstaff brothers are doing quite well too. I think, Newcastle are actually quite a decent side. So I think Newcastle finished 12th. 11th place, Crystal Palace. Again, a lot of people, not myself, I thought Palace would have enough to stay up, but I thought Palace were going to struggle because Zaha, was struggling at the start of the season. Picked up some good form. They were like near the top 6. And, Palace are a good team, and I think, they'll be looking to score goals. They're always a well-organised team under Roy Hodgson. They've got a lot of experienced players like Cahill and Tompkins as well. Palace, I think they're a team that can make things difficult. But I think they'll finish 11th place. I think they might try finishing the top half of the table. In 10th place, I'm going to go for Sheffield United. Sheffield United have been the major surprise package of the season. They've done really, really well. Again, at the start of the season, I thought they'd go down because, Chris Wilder hasn't had much experience in the Premier League and neither of the players, but they've really, really, really been absolutely sensational. But yeah, they've been looking at like European places or something like that. I don't think they will. I think teams like Wolves and Arsenal and maybe Everton will come back firing. And I think, they'll finish above them. So I've just given a clue away. 9th place, I've gone for Wolves. Again, a lot of quality. It's difficult to decide. Wolves could still get a Europa League place. But I think Wolves will finish 9th place under Nuno Espirito Santo. I think, I don't know whether they'd take that. I don't know whether they'd be disappointed with it. But I think another top half finish would be good. They're still in the Europa League. You never know. They could be in the Champions League next season if they were going to win the Europa League. You just never know. But yeah, I think Wolves are a really incredibly difficult team to play. So yeah, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers will get 9th place. In 8th place, Everton. Carlo Ancelotti and his side, since he took over in December over Marco Silva, I think he's getting the best out of the players. Obviously, they lost to Man City and Liverpool in the FA Cup, but I think there'll be a massive turnaround in fortune for the Goodison faithful, and he'll play good football. I think there'll be a much better team next season when he gets his own signings in. I think it'll be a very exciting campaign for all neutrals next season. 7th place, I'm going to go for Arsenal. This is a big surprise, and people might laugh at me for saying this, but I think Arsenal, under Mikel Arteta, I think he will, because of, says, look, if you're not going to do what I tell you, you're out. They're playing with aggression, they're playing with a more, there seem to be that Arsenal again, that the Arsenal fans want to see. I never really got the chance to see Arsenal's unbeaten side, because I was 2 years old. So, yeah, I haven't seen the Arsenal of old yet, and I weren't really into football for quite a while until about, 6-7 years ago. So, yeah, I have to say, I think Arsenal, will have more than enough quality to finish in Europa League places. I think they will get 7th place. 6th place, my team, Manchester United. Don't think we're good enough to finish in the top 4. Sometimes we do look like it, when we beat the good teams like Spurs and Manchester City in the Premier League. We've taken points off all the teams in the top 4. But unfortunately, we can't beat the teams below us. And it's a big struggle. It's really, really disappointing. We lost to Watford. We've lost to Bournemouth. We've dropped points against Villa, Southampton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, West Ham. West Ham were good at the time. Don't get me wrong. We've managed to beat Burnley, but yeah, I think a lot of the teams down below us, we've struggled to take points off. So I think, we're going to finish 6th place again, and I don't think we're going to get Champions League. Hopefully, United prove me wrong. 5th place, Spurs. Spurs, because they're so bad at the back and they do struggle away from home. No away clean sheet since I think it was, the 5th of January 2019. 7-0 win away at Tranmere. That was their last clean sheet in any English competition. So, yeah, Spurs will get 5th for me. So that goes into the top 4. So Chelsea are going to finish 4th for me. Frank Lampard's team have been struggling a lot, but I think, they will have enough. I think, they are, again, very inconsistent. Spurs United could still finish in the top 4, but I think Chelsea will get it. I think, I think they will sign some good players in January, which will get their place in the top 4. I think Leicester will get 3rd place. Yeah, Leicester City to provide another miracle and get into the Champions League under Brendan Rodgers. They've been absolutely sensational. Whether Maddison leaves, I don't know. That could be a pivotal point. 2nd place, Manchester City. Yeah, I don't see them catching who the next team is, which of course is Liverpool. I think City will just get 2nd place. And obviously Liverpool will be the champions because they are the best team in the world at the moment. Mane, Salah, Firmino, deadly. That's all I can say. So that's my Premier League prediction, final table. Please give me yours in the comments below, and I shall see you soon for the next part in a bit.